Hello everyone and welcome to the Deepbluerenegade podcast. My name is Molly, also known as the Deepbluerenegade, and I'd like to welcome you guys to episode 96 today. It's Sunday, July 19th, 2015, and I am really excited you could join me today. It might be a little bit scatterbrained today. So what is it? I flew back from Nashville this morning, from SSK, and so I took a nap and ate some cheese and crackers, and that's pretty much the only thing that's happened more or less since I got home. So it's actually the afternoon now, so I've had a very lazy afternoon. It was It was a little crazy getting into the airport. It turns out that Nashville is one of those airports where when they say show up 2 hours early, they actually mean it. So I understand now, because it's no fun running across the terminal, not gonna lie. But I did make it back safe and sound and on time, and my bag followed me, so I guess I can't complain too much. But it definitely was a very crazy week. So I'm wearing the official t-shirt, which is really comfy. I decided to wear it the last day and just save the other one for some other day. And I don't even know. I think the short answer was that I think the best way to describe SSK is there are plenty of opportunities to join in on something, and it is as crazy as you want it to be based on how many things you decide to join in on. So I think that's the short answer, because ran into all sorts of great and interesting people, and it's the case where you pull up a chair and you just start talking to someone, and it's really crazy and awesome experience. It's sort of like you're having knit night for 4 days straight. So it was a really great time. I was looking at the pile of things I have lined up to show you guys, which is slightly crazy. So I ended up finishing the first sock of my Suzanne, or Blue Suzanne, or something like that. I think the colorway actually is Suzanne. And this is the Short Row Shuffle Sock by Kristen Hall. And I had to do some crazy things in order to make it fit. I'm podcasting that, Annie. Love you. The dearly lovable one just walked in, and I made him cool. So this is how it is fitting. So it ended up working out okay. I was a little bit worried there for a bit that it was going to be awkward, but I think it turned out great. So sock with the really cool diagonal striping pool to it. And I started the second sock. So this is, So this little tube here is like a little keeper that you can stab your circulars into to keep your stitches on the needles, so I thought that was pretty cool. So I started the second one. It looks like I'm not one repeat into the shuffle pattern on this guy, so I got the right number of rows of ribbing. I have my marker in there, so I know approximately where the row begins. And so I got some work done while I was at SSK, but not a ton of work. So I think, what was it, when I showed you guys this last week, it was ready for the heel, so did the heel, and then about this much of the cuff. So got a bit of love, just not a lot of love. It'll probably get more love now that, what is it? The problem with the pattern is that if you get off on your count, like, you can be pretty derailed. So I just thought it was easier to leave it in my bag. The other thing I was working on, I'll just have to bring this the whole thing up, was I did get some progress on the Fragile Heart shawl. This is a pattern by Bunitz. I don't know what her real name is. I found out that it actually was supposed to be designed for heart health awareness, so that was interesting. Oh my gosh, what have I done? I was very, still well tangled. Different tangle? I think my bag is like on the verge of collapse. Alright. Ooh, there's some stitches. Uh-oh. So, the Fragile Heart is patterned by Bunitz. I only actually worked on this guy while I was in my room. Because there are, rows of beads. And beads just really aren't all that portable. But I did get a decent amount of work done on it while I was on the airplane as well. So I am doing the medium size. And I've finished the first pattern repeat, and I might be halfway, I think, at this point, into the second of it. And that'll be the number of repeats that I end up doing for this guy. So, I suppose this spot here is... So right now it's actually turning out to be a pretty good depth over here. So this is the center. And... Like, I'm trying to think of what else I wanted to say about this guy. I haven't checked how much of this that I've used, and whenever looking at the helpful project notes and figuring out where I stand. The last, the finisher, whatever, the final chart, I think is actually pretty large. So we will see how it goes and whether or not I'll have enough yarn. It's an adventure, full of surprises. So it does seem to be turning out really nice. So here, the best way to hold it. I don't know. It's sort of hard to see everything because it is lace. So it has been turning out nice. It was excellent plain knitting. I'm trying to think of what else to say. But nothing's really coming to mind. Yeah, I've been really happy with the design so far, and it's really cool how the patterns are transitioning into each other. So I think it looks really cool how it was made. I think that's everything I'm going to say about that. Put that on the floor. Oh, sorry, I can't see. Apparently, Flash is having a really hard time with my computer lately, so. As long as, what is it, this still records, I guess I'm probably gonna be fine. I've just been so hot lately. I needed to record inside today because it was just going to be too much to be sitting outside. But it does appear to be a pretty beautiful day. So what I ended up casting on this week was the Hitchhiker. So this is a Martina Bem pattern. I ended up buying this when I bought, what was it, the Viajante pattern. And so let's see. I can count the number of points. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I am 13 points in at this point. I'm trying to think about when I cast this on. I believe I cast this on yesterday. I'm thinking, or I'd gotten it started Friday, possibly. It was the case where I needed another mindless project, and this was what I ended up picking. It is out of Wool Mica Pure in the Sammy colorway, so it has whatever, the bright primary colors, so red, yellow, and blue, and then white as well. And it's been a lot of fun with how it's been pooling, so you can see there's a great big blue and then the great big red pool on this. So it's been a lot of fun to knit, just because you're like, ooh, and then these colors, and then ooh, and then these colors. So, yeah, no, it's been a lot of fun, and because the stitch count is ever changing, it makes for some interesting pooling. So far, so good with this guy. I will be knitting it to the, or I will be knitting it to hopefully the full 42 points, and what is it? Hopefully I don't remember her name, but it was someone who had never read or had heard of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, and so we decided it'd be better not to tell her the joke. So that she would go ahead and just read the stupid book. It was like one of those things where you've just gotta, whatever, you simply have to read it. You can't, what is it, just hear about it, because it's not going to make any sense unless you have the context of the ridiculousness of it all. So it is Lovely Minded's project. I ended up having one break, which was a bummer, in my yarn, so I need to hide that particular tail. But nice and mindless project. It'll probably be a nice background project. I probably won't keep it in my bag like I have been doing, just because, or what is it? Because I would really like to have the socks and shell done before this. This was, what is it? Filler. Though I might throw it in my bag for a knit night or something like that. Hard to tell. So, I ended up doing quite a bit of spinning this week. And now I'm trying to gather all of the crazy skeins I ended up making. Oh, wait a second. There's something else I want to talk about. I did end up finishing something and donating it at SSK, so last week I was showing you guys my variation on the Gaptastic cowl. So I finished the cowl. It was probably about this wide. It might have been in the awkward zone for a cowl. It might have worked a little bit better if it was, oh, what was it? I didn't necessarily optimize the yarn usage for what would you call it? I didn't necessarily optimize the yarn usage for using it all in the cowl, as it turns out. What I ended up doing actually was, with the leftovers, I ended up making a hat, and this was how much I had left of the grain, so I'll probably skein this up tonight and figure out what yardage I ended up actually using on the hat and cowl. And I took a photo of it, so it should be good to go for a stash, but not too bad for whatever, something that was probably 10 ounces of yarn overall. Or what was it? Or it turned out I think that was actually just close to 10 ounces. It was like 9.5 or something ridiculous like that. So I like weighed it all and total it, and I'll figure out what the yardage is sometime today. There's all sorts of fun things for Stash Dash. Sort of like all of this needs to be, whatever, quantified somehow. Alright, so I took, like, sorting the yarn. I ended up taking 2 classes with Sarah Anderson. So Sarah Anderson is the author of like a Spinner's Book of Yarn Designs, which is, and she ended up bringing every single sample from that book, and many of the samples had like knit swatches to go with it. It was a very crazy table to look at. Full of ridiculousness. And so I took 2 classes with her. One of them was soft core spinning, and the other one was worsted spinning. And I didn't even have any clue at all at what I was getting myself into. I had no clue what I was getting myself into when, I took the soft core class. Not that I'm saying, that it's bad or anything. It was actually really cool, but it showed up with no clue what it was that I was doing. And this was the first yarn that I made for this class. So this is some of the craziest yarn I've ever made. I'll just state that. So this is some spiral yarn that I made by basically, the short answer is that this was applying fiber to a core, which in this case was black lace weight singles. And what you're doing is that as you are spinning, you are applying the fiber basically perpendicularly and softly wrapping it around the core as you spin. And then how this yarn was finished was that it was then plied with the same black lace weight merino. So it is very textured, extremely soft, and whatever, quite ridiculous for me. I've never made such crazy yarn before. And so we ended up making this type of yarn 3 different ways. So this was from a bat. The next thing we did was we actually did this with comb top. And so what I did with this yarn was, to finish it, was that I actually chain plied it back on itself. So there isn't, this is basically just sort of a sample. And so I'm gonna hold it up for you guys. So what you see here is like, this is pretty bulky, extremely soft, and actually has quite a bit of integrity to it as well. So I would say that this is like this would be, if I had more of it, which I don't, this would end up making a very lovely like hat or cowl or something like that. So it's next to Skin Soft, super fluffy, and the shadows on this are like amazing shadows on this. Now in contrast, we ended up in like all of whatever, it always seemed like we were running out of time. So in contrast, what I ended up doing with the rest of the top was I spun it as single, or whatever, I spun it like I would normally spin yarn. So this would be worsted drafting. Oh, I guess I should open this. So this is worsted drafting, Navajo plaid, chain plaid, or whatever. And this would be, oh, that's pretty twisty. So this is, in contrast, what I normally spin. So I just wanted to have a sample of both to like really highlight how like the colors took differently, basically the weight of yarn that I was getting. I'm not entirely sure what weight this is, I haven't really figured that out, but it makes for like, I would say they're both probably equally squishy, but just like a entirely different way to create yarn, and to create some very like thick yarn really easily. Like it was, like it didn't take any time at all to figure out how to basically core spin to make the soft core yarn. And the craziest and probably softest yarn of the bunch is this. So what we did was we took white wool and mohair locks, and we fluffed them all out. And I still have more mohair locks to play with. And I'm just going to hold this towards the camera. So I did the same, the same soft core principle of putting twist into the core and then sort of drafting sideways to wrap stuff around. But this was what was created. And you can, like, you can see the halo on this. Like, it is every bit as soft as it looks. And what we did to bind it together was we actually applied it with silk thread. So it's very sexy. I have no, like, this for now is just going to be, a crazy sample, but it was a lot of fun to spin with the mohair. I've never spun with it before, and I know when I bought my fleece that Brooke had mohair, but I was a little bit scared about it at the time, and it's pretty cool. So I was definitely ready for it now. So you can tell that this is, whether this yarn is very curly, it has very soft, occasionally there's like little crazy bits that are sticking out. I'm sure it would turn the Deersweet Level 1 into a giant rash. But it was, whatever, very fun and interesting experience. So I'd like to try, mohair again, given the chance. And the second class was worsted. And so what was pretty hilarious about this class was, like, we get there and we're like, okay, like, maybe I was thinking it would be more, about, I'm not even sure what I knew it was going to be about, but you're like, worsted spinning, like, okay, that's how I normally spin, no big deal, I'll pick up some pointers. And we made even crazier yarn in the worsted class. Even crazier. So, what I have here, so what ended up happening was, like, Sarah gets up and she's so excited, and she's like, guess what we're going to do today? We're going to make slub yarn, and we're going to teach you how to spin thick. I'm like, okay. So what she did was she was basically trying to break us of the habit of always drafting things to, whatever, this crazy amount. So what we did was she was showing us how to make slub yarn. And the short answer is that with a slub is about the length of a staple. And then she basically had this technique where you could, add structure as you were making the slub. So you have a thin part, so it would be the case where you'd have your fiber supply, you'd pinch it, you'd draft it out until it was starting to get transparent, and then you'd roll it in the direction that twist would normally go, and that would lock everything down, and then you'd go back and you'd pinch a little bit past the thin spot you made and draft out another length of wool. And it was crazy to watch, it was crazy how fast she could spin the slub yarn. And so then this was my attempt at spinning slub yarn. This is a Falkland, and holy cow, is it soft. It is scrumptious. I want more of this stupid Falkland, because it's amazing. This is probably the softest sample of the bunch. And then we ended up plying it with silk to create what Sarah called a flame yarn. So there's basically, it's made up of even parts of slub like this, and then thin parts, and then basically it has this periodic structure to it, which is pretty cool. And then after making the slub yarn, the next thing was to make a consistent thick yarn. So some people, they just left that sample on the bobbin. I ended up pulling out a new bobbin for it. And I ended up applying this back on itself after the class was over. And it's not consistent at all, but it is much thicker than my default spinning, and it is really soft as well. So this was something that I actually finished up Saturday. So it has, so it's very lofty, it's very soft, and, what is it? We were supposed to apply it with the thread, but at that point, I think that was, long since gone. So it will take some work, but at the very least, it was a good way to start to understand how to get the right draft going in order to make a thicker yarn, if I felt like making a thicker yarn. And then the last one we made was we ended up being given Ashland Bay Merino, and then we also made more slubs with this, so it was just a giant slub fest. And this is pretty tangled up, so I don't know if I can show you. And so what I did with this was actually a cable ply, and there are probably some pretty firm parts in this, but what I did was I made the slub yarn, spun the brown in fine singles, or at least somewhat fine, and then plied it on each other with extra twist, and then and then after that, then plied it back on itself to create a 4-ply very textured yarn. So Sarah's suggestion was to basically line up the slubs together, so then you would get this periodic, really big part plied onto a thinner part. And so some of these turned out this way. Though it seems like maybe I applied the thinner parts a little bit firm. And then, so it makes for this very textured yarn. And the nice thing about doing it this way with this type of preparation, because basically it was, the top was all sorts of colors blended together, is that it allowed for you to see more of the color. So when you spin it thin, it just looks like a random sort of variegated. But with this, you can see that there are many colors that are incorporated into this instead of a few. So it was interesting. Maybe cable plying it on itself was a mistake, and it would have been nice to leave it otherwise. But I spun all of the singles for this guy, which is cool. Oh, I know a lot about spinning. I'm not even done yet. I need to like total all of this yardage up for Stash Bash. Because on one hand, they're pretty small skeins. I don't think there's much I could use them for. They're more like whatever samples from class, because it was whatever 3 hours of class per thing. But every little bit counts, so we'll make it work. So what I'm still working on is what is it? So what I'm still working on is I ended up bringing. Oh wait, this is also. We might be slowly transitioning into stash positions at this point, but what I am working on now is oh, words are escaping. So what I'm working on now is Hello Yarn in the SSK colorway. So this was fiber that I ended up getting when I showed up at the retreat. And what I'm spinning it on is my Jenkins. So, I totally forgot to show this last week. This came in the mail last week. So this is a larch. It is made out of Teneo. It is 0.59 ounces or 17 grams. And I really do like how it spins, and I really am enjoying so far. What is it working with it? So I still have quite a bit. So what is it? So I am spinning this fairly fine, and what I decided to do with it was split it up into 2 parts. So what I have here are all of the yellows and greens and whites, because the colorway was what is it? Yellows, and then purples. And so there's still a little bit of purple in this guy as well, and I probably should actually rejigger this so that there is, I don't even know, but I probably can make it a little bit, whatever, make the balls a little bit more manageable. But I guess I'm not going to worry about that now. So I have the purples, and then I have the yellows, so, or I already showed you this. Stuff this back in there. And I've really been enjoying how it spins. I can spin in the car because this is actually small enough. It is a whole, I would say, what is it? It spins a lot faster than, what is it, my normal spindle would, or my normal spindles would go, because I would say, what is it, my smallest other one is like 2 ounces. Maybe that other one was an ounce, I'm not sure. But I would say, what is it? There is, like, I pulled it out of the bag and whatever, when it came in the mail, and you could just tell that the workmanship on this guy was very good, very top-notch. So, what is it? So, in terms of how it's put together and how it's constructed, like, I was very, very impressed in comparison to my other Turkish spindle. So, like, there is actually, what is it, a benefit to going with the name brand. So, so I was very excited this ended up coming my way, and I am very happy with how it's working. So it fits nicely into my bag. I can spin with it in the car, which is pretty amazing. And it is a very nice little tool. So that's what I'm working on with the spindles. I don't have anything else on my wheel, and the bulk of my wheel is actually driving back to Dallas later this week. So, so I probably won't be working on any more chocolate shell and fleece until it gets back. So I'll be working on the Hello yarn until it gets back. I could show you the skeins I finished spinning, but they're across the room in a Ziploc bag. So they did get washed, they did get thwacked. I don't think I've posted in any prize threads. I should probably go do that. I think since I'd finished it all right before I left, that was why I didn't end up getting a chance to do that. So maybe I'll pull them all out for a group shot once I'm finished spinning them all. Okay. So I showed you guys already the mohair locks. I still have quite a bit left. I'm not sure if I'm going to, what I'm going to do with them, but the options are open. They're really, really gorgeous, so maybe I can figure out a way to get my hands on more of them, or to maybe do something totally different, like spin like a lace weight skein or something like that as another sample of how to do things totally different than what I ended up learning in the class. So now for the gluttony portion. I'm not sure necessarily if it's all that much gluttony, but what is it? It is a decent amount of stuff, more than I would normally come back with from whatever, a festival or something like that. I did have a mission and stuff like that, but we'll get into that when the time comes. So I ended up buying 3 worsted skeins, 3 sock skeins, 3 braids of fiber, and I ended up getting 3 door prizes, so that was super duper exciting. So door prize number 1, which I ended up getting on the first night, was the skein of Very Colorful Yarning. It is in the colorway Kumquat, and it is 25% nylon, 75% merino. It's a 4-ply, 463 yards, and it is in greens and yellowy oranges. So very bright, very happy, and this will, whatever, this is earmarked for socks for sure. The other door prize I ended up getting was Nearly Knit Super Sock in the Wicked Witch of the East colorway. So, what is it? And then I also got, what is it? So this is a little kit, I believe. So the first part of the kit is a black and white self-striper, like the Wicked Witch of the West, or Wicked Witch of the East. And then the other one is a sparkly red skein. So, so this will make really fun socks. So, and I've never actually worked with sparkle yarn before. So, the sparkle yarn is 80% superwash merino, 15% nylon, and 5% stellina. And then the super sock is 80% superwash merino and 20% nylon. So it's a 2-ply. It looks, what is it, very similar to like Swoosh, for example, in terms of the base. And that's a 400 yard, 100 gram thing. So it's actually quite a lot of yarn, because the other one is 25, so it was a pretty big kit. All things considered. So, whoosh. And then the third door prize, I actually ended up trading with the person I was sitting next to. So I ended up winning the Coop Knit socks, and the person I was sitting next to was like, "Ooh, can I have that?" And then she offered this skein of Cyborg Craft Room, so I ended up trading with her. I believe that was CD Nitty. So this is Cyborg's Craft Room in the Unicorn Rainbow Fight, or the Glitter Unicorn Rainbow Fight, and the Sparkle base. So this is 75% Super Rush Merino, 20% nylon, and 5% Stellina, and it is 436 yards. And so it's very pastel and rainbowy at the same time. So this is also going to be soft, and I just have to laugh a little bit with the sparkle. Oh, sparkle indeed. So I don't have any sparkle in my stash at all, so I thought long and hard about it and decided that was probably the way to go. So this is also a lot of fun. I definitely went by our booth and looked at stuff, and it was just the case where, what is it? Like, I didn't want to go like totally overboard, if you know what I mean. At some point, you had to say stop. So those are the door prizes. So let's see. The market was yesterday. It opened at 10 and went until noon, and then it went from 1 until, I don't know, 3 or 4, something like that. I'm not sure. I ended up making most of my purchases in the morning. When it had opened up, I went around to pretty much every single booth and look and saw what they had, and just to probably get a sense for what it was that what was going to like really stand out to me. The only mission I had was I wanted an Anchorworks bobbin for my lendrum, and I was buying yarn for a baby blanket. So like everything else was pretty vague. And so it was the case where I wandered around, looked at all of the pretties, and decided, what is it? So the first thing I ended up picking up was this, which is from Fiber Optics. So this is a 80% Polworth, 20% silk, and this is the Catamaran colorway, and oh man, that's just not gonna do. There is just way too much shine. So this is, there we go, that's much better, and that is pretty, it might be slightly more vivid in real life looking at my computer screen, but this is blues and teals and purples, all pretty much the same, what is it, the same saturation. It's a bit darker in real life. And really, really soft and amazing. So it was the case where I'd spun with Kimber's semi-solid stuff before, and really wanted a chance to have a skein that I could keep. Not gonna lie. Wanted one for me. So, but it was the case where I was standing in line there, and this ended up hopping into my hand. So this is the ink to powder colorway in the 80% merino, 20% silk, and I was just looking at the light blue and being like, ah, that's amazing. So yeah, so it ended up coming with me sort of accidentally. Had there not been someone ahead of me in line, I probably wouldn't have lingered that long. And then the next thing I ended up picking up was, 3 skeins of Yowza from Miss Babs. So I am making a baby blanket, and the request was that it be neutrals, but I didn't really want to entirely comply with that request, so I also grabbed a skein of, what is it, I grabbed a skein of, so this one is, this guy's natural, I believe. Oh, this one's naked. So just the base. This guy is Oyster, which is a semi-solid gray. And then I picked up this crazy skein of Moonlight Stroll. So this is a 4-ply light worsted yarn, 100% merino, superwash, 560 yards per skein. So what is it? So that's 15, so almost 1,700 yards of worsted, which might be an insane amount for a baby blanket. I have no clue. I am still debating on the pattern. On one hand, what is it? The original idea for pattern, I'm not sure is going to work. I was thinking about doing the squares on a roll, but what is it? So I was thinking about doing the squares on a roll, but it turned out that worsted seemed to be the better idea for what base, whatever, what yarn to get, in order to make the most of my money, so to speak. So I was thinking log cabin, and then I picked 3 colors in order to make a log cabin, though I might end up making the squares on a roll anyways. It's, whatever, it could be a crapshoot. which way I end up going. So we'll see, or maybe I'll swatch a little bit and figure out what it is I want to do, and just leave them attached to the balls of yarn until I decide what looks better. We'll see. So, but the Midnight Stroll had the grays and the whites in it, so I figured it was going to go together nicely. So this one has like greens and teals and grays and blacks and whites, so I just thought it would be pretty cool. And most of the blanket will actually be more of the neutral, so this is just the bright pop of color to make the knitting interesting. So, I have plenty of time for the baby blanket, but I probably will cast on soon. Maybe after I finish things. So after I did that, I ended up visiting the mustache booth. It was totally mobbed when I was first going there. And what I ended up picking up was a new colorway that doesn't even have a swatch, called Time Lord number 4. I'm thinking that the numbers, effectively speaking, are calling out the lot code, for lack of a better word. So it's fingering 460 yards. I didn't get the OCD skein because I didn't really want to pay an extra $2 for the winding of yarn. It's probably totally reasonable for winding of yarn, but I don't need matchy-matchy socks. So this has purples and many different shades of blue, some of them almost going towards teal. I have no clue how many stripes are in it because there wasn't a sample, but it had all of my colors in it, so I was super duper excited. I did fondle the Dark Side of the Moon extended play edition for quite some time, and then decided to walk away. So maybe I'll get it some other time. And what is it? Her Wish You Were Here was also really pretty too. But what is it? I was super glad that she managed to come because she had like a run-in with shingles and like what is it? So I believe her husband and her youngest daughter were there, and oh my gosh, adorable. That's lifestyle. Very, very adorable. So, yeah. And then I decided, what is it, to, what was it? I think the next thing I ended up getting was another thing of fiber. This is from Knitting in Color. That's not going to do it justice either. So the colorway is Geode, and it was just something that really stood out to me when I was walking through. I wasn't planning on getting anything from Knitting in Color explicitly. So, I'll show you the card. Maybe. There we go. No more glare. So this is 80/20 merino silk. and I really just liked how it was variegated like this. So there is a certain amount of black in it that was really cool. And this one isn't actually blue; it's just everything around blue. So it has purples and greens and teals, and it just like glowed to me. So that was why I ended up picking it up, because it was like, ooh, wow, she had just some really saturated colors. So that was pretty cool. I was hoping to win some sock blanks in the door prize and put lots of tickets in, but apparently everyone else wanted sock blanks too. And then I ended up picking up something from Sun Valley Fibers. So this is a skein of sock yarn. It will turn out variegated. It was reskein. So it is 80/20 merino nylon, 420 yards. The colorway is Rendezvous. And so it's a medium blue, a teal, and white. So I just thought it was really pretty. The other thing was, Jeanette of Sun Valley Farms was like in my group and super duper nice, so I really wanted to support her business and her coming to SSK for the first time. And it was pretty. I was fondling her merino cashmere silk. So I might end up putting in an order with her if I can figure something out, just because it was so gorgeous. But I would have been totally sold on it had there been something that was more teal. And so then that was the morning. And then I was sitting around talking at lunch and realizing that I regretted not purchasing one thing. So I went in after lunch and ended up picking up a double knit sock blank from Sheep Dreamery. So what I thought was really cool about this guy was that it actually had these like diagonal stripes in it, and of course, hard to go wrong with the blurple blues sort of thing. And actually, the chevrons are showing up really clearly in this lighting. And I ended up picking up this one because it was a little bit lighter, so I wanted more saturation changes with this guy, and it looks like the sock blank is starting to want to come out. And what's also interesting about it too is that there's a certain amount of variegation just based on the fact that it was dyed while it was knit up, so that's also really cool and something I didn't notice before. But yeah, I was talking at lunch and realized, I was like, no, I think I really wanted that. So I ended up coming back and ended up getting, ended up getting 5 door prize tickets because I said I'd be back, and then I did come back. I don't know. What is it? Would be the case where you have to be a woman of your word, you know? So, oh, that's not going to go back into the package. I think I just have to turn it this way. So, and that was all of the gluttony. FYI. So probably more than I would have normally done at a fiber festival or something like that. But that being said, the quality of everything was really, really high. So it was a spoiled for choice sort of thing in the market. And I tried to keep a pretty high bar for the awesomeness of what I actually shelled out for. I was tempted for like a short while about doing a Yowza weight shawl, and I think that the short answer was that the color combinations in Miss Bab's colorways were challenging me a little bit much in terms of, like pops of other colors, which I normally wouldn't think to get. And it's probably the case where everything works out fantastic, but I was like, I can't do it. And there's no reason for me to have a worsted weight shawl in Texas. So, as much as I would like to join on the bandwagon, like, I probably don't need a worsted weight shawl in Texas. So, that was the craziness there. So I have one other thing which I ended up receiving as a gift. So I ended up helping out one of the women I'd randomly been hanging out with. So she ended up giving me as a thank you for helping her out. We were both. This was our So this was a gift from Sandy, who is Novel Perler. She doesn't watch podcasts yet, but it seems like she's going to be watching a bunch soon. So I ended up helping out Sandy a couple of times. So it was the case where, what was it? She needed a place to stay, and I had a spare bed in my room. So that ended up working out really well. And then she helped by getting me to the airport this morning, which was really nice. And so she ended up giving me the sampler of the Tuft woolens. So it had, what was in the pack was vanilla almond, Russian flower, lavender, juicy orange and ginger, and royal apiary. Since I'm almost out of wool wash, it'll be a lot of fun to try this out on my socks. And I believe I have, I have another piece that I think was a part of a prize from Molly of Homespun House. I'm trying to remember which one was that one. I think that was like Mossy Woods. I think that's the other one I have, so I'm adding to the collection. And actually, honestly, I didn't end up spending a lot of time in that particular booth, so yeah, whatever. So that was really, really sweet of Sandy, and it was really fun to meet her, because we ended up having a little bit of a gang with her, Maria, who is, Maria HP, and we ended up like going out to sushi and hanging out and eating together at like breakfast and lunch, so that was really sweet and a lot of fun. And then like, whatever, it was really cool because then we were like, slumber party! Good times. Oh, I'm all out of coffee now. But it's like 5:44, so I probably shouldn't be drinking any more coffee today. So honestly, I couldn't do justice to talk about all of the cool people I met. I hung out with Susan Pandorf, I hung out with Jenny, I believe, S.J. Wren, and she is a badass spinner. She's a badass spinner. I met, like a whole entire variety of people, and honest to goodness, I would forget people and I would feel really bad, but I just wanted to call out some of the people where I did end up spending a decent amount of time with them. Yeah, it was quite a lot of fun. It was very exhausting. I'm definitely an introvert. I was like, okay, when things, whatever, were getting a bit much, then I like go back to my room and take a shower and chill out for a little bit, and then throw myself back in the group. And probably the most hilarious time was I actually ended up meeting Worcester Weight, and she wasn't even going there. She showed up for the market, and she's local to Nashville area, and oh my gosh, she was so hilarious. I could listen to her tell stories all day, and I did yesterday. So Tara is an absolute doll. That's a rough, vague explanation of what happened. So at this point, like, I'll end up deciding in September whether or not I want to go back next year, but it was quite a lot of fun, or whether or not I want to do Rhinebeck next year. So, but I'm not going to do SSK and Rhinebeck because that would be way too gosh. But yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. It's gonna be maybe a little rough transitioning back to work tomorrow. I'm sure everyone will be really excited to see me, but it was a lot of fun to basically have knit night for 4 days straight. And I think that's the short answer. That's the easy explanation of the SSK is it's knit night, where you can just move around to whatever table you want and hang out with whoever you want for that long. And the case where someone might call out like, hey, I'm doing such and such, and then you'd decide whether or not you wanted to join it or not. So it was very, very awesome. And I think with that, what is it? I think that's everything I wanted to say. So, much longer episode than what I have been normally doing. What is it? I've been normally coming in at 20 minutes, and this one is an hour, but there was an awful lot to show, and now there's going to be an awful lot to photograph. So, I hope you guys all have a fantastic week, and I look forward to speaking to you next week. I should be recording Saturday. What is it? Because my mom's actually going to be coming to town, and I figured that'll end up working out a little bit better, because I don't want to go hide for an hour while she's here. Such is life. So maybe I'll have things to show for, what is it, or different things to show for Knitting Progress. We'll see. But I hope you all have a great week, and take care, guys. Bye-bye.